What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Bankroll Blitz. I'm here with Josh Lander and a friend and a special guest, PropBomb. I'll start with you, Josh. I mean, it's been quite some time since I've been able to hop on. I'm excited to talk to you, but how are you feeling with what's going on in the landscape of the NFL?
I mean, I feel better about this week than I did last week. I'm going to be very honest with you. I had my first stay away week entirely in the NFL last week. And we were talking about a minute ago, right? How like we're all trying to do NBA and NFL, and in the case of Brad, like 9 other European sports probably as well on top of it all. So like it's a lot. And I chose NBA last week big time and did all the weekend stuff I could there. And now I'm like, okay, I got some stuff for NFL this week because I also I think there's some better value in these games, and I got a pretty fatty teaser that I'll bring up too. But what about you, PB? Where are you at with it all?
Same as you, man. Basketball has taken on a life of its own, and it's always going to be a balancing act, juggling both sports. But this week too, I got ahead of the game, did my research early, coming in prepared, and we got to do great here. We're gonna do great on the show.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm a spreadsheet better. So I can't say that I'm watching too many of the games, but I'll say devoting time to each sport. I have to be way more selective now because it's so difficult when basketball back, and especially if I end up going to a basketball game. Like if I go to a basketball game, but normally happens, I go to a basketball game living on the East Coast, someone from the West Coast is going to get ruled out, and then it just changes the entire way I'm going to bet the game, and I'm like, you know what? Forget about it. But I'm glad that you guys are here. I'm glad that we are talking about the NFL. So I will kick things off with my first pick. And of course, I'm doing a teaser. But I will have to step back what I said before. I said that I was, loving these dog teasers, but these favorite teasers are 2 of my favorite today. So far, we're doing Bears at Lions. I'm taking Lions in there, 6-point teaser. And then Cowboys at Panthers. I'm taking Cowboys -4.5. So let's talk about the Bears at Lions, right? Possibly Justin Fields is going to play again. I just don't care, right? We're playing at Ford Field, a team that is improving on the defensive line. While they didn't play great defense against the Chargers, we know how the Chargers like to make close competitive games. So the Chargers will play your game. If it's going to be a slow pace run down the ground, the Chargers will do that. If you're going to need to go back and forth, score touchdowns, the Chargers will do that. They just play close games. Now it's against a Bears team who I still think will struggle on their offensive line. Players like Aiden Hutchinson will be able to get pressure on the quarterback. And this Lions team is legit. They are legit. No one wants to say how legit they are. They're able to run the ball well with David Montgomery. They're able to throw the ball well. With Jared Goff is having an almost MVP season, and Amon-Ra St. Brown playing out of his mind, 100+ yards in 4 games, and even the rookie tight end Sam Laporta is doing well. But what's really impressive that really kind of gets understated about this team is how well their offensive line has been doing. One thing that we've known about Jared Goff over the time is he struggled in front of pressure, but they've been keeping their quarterback upright and pressure out of their face, which also helps when you have a good running game with David Montgomery healthy. And then on the other side, Cowboys at Panthers. I'm taking this down to 4.5, but I do think the Cowboys win here by double digits. And my problem for the Panthers is not the play of Bryce Young. It is the offensive line. The Cowboys dominate sub-500 teams because generally what happens with sub-500 teams, they can't protect the quarterback, and their pass rush is just suffocating. It makes it almost unfair. If your quarterback can't be upright against a very strong pass rush, you're not going to score touchdowns. So those are my 2 legs, Lions -1.5 and Cowboys -4.5.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid to me. Anytime that you're betting against Justin, no, I don't want to be like that. Anytime you bet against Justin Fields is a good bet. I mean, it's tough though for him. I mean, especially coming into his first game, you have to expect that he has some rust on him. And yeah, I mean, the splits with Jared Goff at the Dome are great.
Yes.
So I love it.
The interesting thing about this game was that particular game was I did get to the Bears +10. When it was available, and I didn't think I think it's 7.5, right? Yeah, you got it -1.5. So I thought it would sort of hover around 8.5 after it went down, and it just keeps going, I guess. So once you get to a certain point, then you just flip the other way, because I really liked the Bears getting 2 scores, honestly, 10.5 even. I bought a half a point.
I definitely think that
Yeah, right. But then once you get down to 7.5, first of all, that's a wonderful a middle for me too. But it's also, if you're already at the 7.5, then just get it to the 1. So let me segue into what my first bet is, because it's also from that game and we don't have to spend too much time on it. But yeah, it's Amon-Ra. I'll just go with that as my first one. He's gonna get 85.5 here in the past.
I'm on that as well. Let's go.
You're on that? Yeah. So I feel like you would actually probably say a lot of the same stuff I'm about to say real quick, because it's some pretty nerdy football stuff. And I know how you like to get into those numbers. So it's a lot about zone. And when Amon-Ra plays zone, he just crushes it. He's played zone in 6 of his last 7. He's got 100 yards in all 6 games where he's played defenses that are predominantly zone. And the Bears play slightly more than the average defense in terms of zone defense. So he'll still be running down the seams where, like, also in helping him, Josh Reynolds, one of the worst receivers in the league when it comes to playing against zone. If you look at his numbers running down the seams, really bad. That's a huge part of the disappearance that we've seen from him in like 7 or 8 games. It's like Laporta and Amon-Ra in these situations. So maybe some Gibbs as well, by the way, maybe some Jahmyr Gibbs thrown in there. But Amon-Ra, with, like I was saying, the other thing I really love is the 30% target rate that he gets from Jared Goff in the situations where they're playing zone defense. So I had to pay for that stat, but it's definitely worth it to look at some of the matchup stuff that you can get, because like just not even just one-on-one corner stuff where 2 of the Bears corners are in the bottom like 95th percentile in terms of one-on-one rate, which is why they play so much zone. But that's still just like going to play into the hands of this Jared Goff team at home, where you'll just see him slicing people up, like he does when he's in the dome. So
yeah, St. Brown's a good zone beater. Because he has the ability to not only stretch the field and find those pockets in the deeper zone, he has the ability to catch it and run after catch, which helps a lot when you're taking a guy at 84.5. Also, 12.3 yards per catch, which is freaking phenomenal when you're taking it over. What's your first pick, PB?
Yeah, so I was telling Brad off the show, you come to at this point in the NFL season, and you just kind of have to get creative with props. You have to be looking at markets that not everyone's looking at. And I have a fantastic prop here, and that's going to be Greg Zuerlein.
Let's go.
Ready? Under 1.5 extra points made. That's minus 120 right now on DraftKings.
Wow.
And has hit in 11 of 12 games. This 11 of his last 12 games. And this is just a play on the Jets offense. The Jets offense is flat out. I mean, like, you look at the starting offensive lineman group going into week 1 against the Bills compared to where they are now. Elijah Vera Tucker out. Dwayne Brown out. Their whole offensive line is just flat out gashed and beat up. And that's going to affect the running game with Breece Hall having effective drives. His efficiency the last 3 games has just been downright just not who he should be.
Yep.
And, you're going to be now going to an away game as -7 favorites, where you're going to have to the game is going to be now revolved around Zach Wilson throwing the ball. And I love how, I just like how the Bills look right now. I mean, I'm on the Bills, at home. Offensive coordinator Sean McDermott is out of the picture now. I want to see how they respond to that. And I just don't trust Zach Wilson to be in the end zone 2 times this time and convert. So it's a big trend play, and I like him to go, Greg Zuerlein, to go under 1.5 extra points made. Curious to hear what you guys' thoughts on that are.
No, I like it. My score prediction for that game is 16-13. 2 field goals there for the Jets. I also don't think the Bills score as much as they'd like to. It's an elite defense for the Jets, but you said it. You said it. Exactly what I would say is trusting Zach Wilson. That's what a lot of the implications on my score is, his inability to not only sustain drives but finish them. Like, if they're not getting chunk plays to score touchdowns, he's not really that great in the red zone either. So I like your play a lot, especially at the price that you're getting it.
Yeah, I would throw 2 quick nerdy things at you too. Like, first of all, we're all saying the same thing. What we heard you say in your pick was, I'm going Zach Wilson under 1.5 extra points.
It's essentially what it is,
right? Yeah, that's what we're blaming this on. So no offense to you, Greg the Leg. We love you. Also, Legatron, another great nickname for Greg the Leg. But I would say the quick thing is the offensive line versus defensive line. The Bills, say what you want about how porous and injured they've been really in the secondary and with their pass coverage in the linebacking core as well, they still have a top 10 defensive line adjusted line rate as well as adjusted sack rate. So they're getting pressure and moving that up that line of scrimmage backwards most of the time, or at least keeping it neutral at worst. And the Jets are just not getting a single second of push. Just to add to the point that you made, PB, about it's a different offensive line than it was when it was keeping guys upright. So,
okay, yeah, great. I guess I'll since we're doing a snake here, I'll go with my second pick.
Oh yeah, get it.
Let's do a 2-leg here.
Yeah.
Let's go in the Dolphins Raiders game. I'm liking Davante Adams over 5.5 receptions, and then pairing that with Dolphins money line straight up. Davante Adams right now.
You get a little bit of juice there with the negative correlation.
Okay, it's minus 115 at FanDuel right now, so it's essentially like a straight up play. Davante Adams, find it anywhere in the market right now at 6.5 receptions, and Aiden O'Connell is throwing him the ball. You look at the splits. I'm looking at on the left side of the screen compared to Jimmy Garoppolo and Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell is targeting Davante Adams 31% of the target share. And then he's targeting Jacoby Myers, a 12.5% target share. So he's kind of phasing him out of the offense. In the 4 games where Davante Adams is playing alongside Aiden O'Connell, he's had 7 or more targets all the games. So he's just force feeding the number 1 receiver. It is a bit challenging though, because facing up the Dolphins, they got Jalen Ramsey there. So I understand that. But it's just a numbers play here. I mean, you gotta, especially with the firing of Josh McDaniels, they definitely want to get him they're definitely scheming to get him the ball more. And then I want to target the Dolphins money line. I mean, they're like minus 11, minus 12, coming off a bye week at home in Miami, and Devon Achan's back, so their offense is full. I love the 2 here. I think it's actually pretty correlated too, right? Because if the Dolphins are winning, that means that Aiden O'Connell is going to have to throw the ball. So that's my 2-leg. It's 5.5 receptions for Davante Adams, Dolphins money line, minus 115 at FanDuel.
When I think about Aiden O'Connell as a college football player, I think about what roots he came from, what coaching system, and that's Jeff Brom. If you look at Jeff Brom as a coach, it even trickled over to Louisville. Typically, what they do is they target in on their top receiver. This year, Jeremy Thrash for Louisville, and then they have their gadget guys, the guys who kind of take up those I can break it at any time plays, and so it makes sense why he's kind of favoring that number 1 target. It's just something that he's kind of grown with the 4 years that he played at Purdue. I'm going to go with my play. I'm going with Tony Pollard over 65.5 rushing yards. You find this on PointsBet here. So this for me is a little bit of a narrative play because I love interviews. I love going back and reading transcripts from interviews, probably more than I love looking at stats. And all that has been circling around Tony Pollard is them asking him when, like, when are you going to be that breakout player? Can you be that breakout player? Even himself said something along the lines of, I feel like this week is a good week for me to do that, right? And it's been 5 weeks since he's had a game over 70 yards. He's only faced one really bad rush defense in those 5 weeks, and that was against the Giants where he ran for 56 yards. Well, I'm going to forgive him in that game. Obviously, that I was talking to Monotone Football, shout out Stu, and he made a great point. When they played the Giants, that wasn't a game where you're going to pound the rock and give the ball 20 times to your running back. That's a game where you get in, you get out, you build the lead, and you just try to get your players healthy to the next week. Well, now they play against a Carolina Panthers team on the road where they might necessarily have to run the ball 20 times. And why I say that is because anytime you're on the road, wild things happen. You want to shorten the game as much as you possibly can. Now let's talk about the numbers. We can't just bet on narrative because betting on narrative will leave you in a trash can. Tony Pollard obviously hit this. The one other time he played a bad run defense, like a really bad run defense, he hit it for 70 yards. They're playing against the 31st ranked run defense per DVOA in the Panthers, who are allowing 131 rush yards per game. I think this is not a 70-yard outing we see from Tony Pollard. I think this is going to be one of those 110 to 125 rushing numbers, which gave me full confidence in laying a little bit of the juice at the minus 120.
It's not ballsy, but it takes a level of conviction in your bet to kind of ride against this, let's call it media narrative. I would also call it Cowboys fans narrative. that Tony Pollard is just either not getting the work correctly, although detractors would say Rico Dowdle seems like he's doing fine, but he's getting all the
exactly.
work. So would you be? Let me pose it as a question real quick. Like, are you worried that the game script turns so positive for them that they don't even need their starting running back at that point?
So two things that the blowout factor scares me, right? Another thing I think is this is Tony Pollard's audition. And why I say that is, we're getting close to the time where you're starting to understand how many carries you're going to be giving your guys when you're making your championship run, when you're making your playoff push. If it's not now for Tony Pollard, it's probably going to not be any time. And what I mean by that is you're going to start to see Tony Pollard's numbers and his carries just dwindle down throughout the season if he can't be that explosive back. One of the questions they asked him was, do you think you're just a change of pace back? Could you be that every down back? And obviously he answered, no, he's more than just a change of pace back. And I think that he has to prove it. I think it's one of those things where if he hits this, I don't think it's going to be, oh man, I got 20 yards in the fourth quarter. I think he's going to have to be pretty well over the 70 by the third quarter.
Yeah, for me, Brad, on paper, it's the best matchup you can ask for him. But as Josh was saying, though, it's just the positive game script. You don't want it to get out of hand where, like, I don't want to repeat what he said, but like, Rico gets 12 carries just like he did against the Giants. Pollard is, you have to figure he breaks one out here tonight. Today. So I'm hoping he gets there for you. And if the game's on the road and Bryce Young could somehow keep this game competitive, then yeah, I mean, sure, let's get 16 to 18 carries and get the job done for Pollard.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Yeah. I'll go into my second one here, round it out with a teaser as well. That's what I'm going here with that too. And I got a player prop for the last one, but the games we haven't talked about. The games we did talk about that are in here. We briefly talked about that Miami game with PB's bet. And then the other two are Washington and Philly. So Washington is going to be -2.5 against the Giants, the just awful Pee Wee football Giants. The Dolphins, I get down to -6.5, and Philly, I get up above 8.5. So I get to go through two key numbers of 3 and 7 because they're 2.5 right now on most books. Although you might see a 3 before Sunday, but I mean, keeping it simple, like everything that you were saying. Aiden O'Connell, no, this is great against even the Jets defense was pretty good against him. Obviously, we saw the Giants just not even competition right now. So this is about to be a little bit more of a rude awakening for him. And he'll still need to be throwing a bunch, but Dolphins at home, man. Like it's Dolphins by a million. Devon Achane's back. Then the Manders game, like we're talking about Tommy DeVito here. I got nothing for you. I don't really think I need to go past that. The fact that we would consider going under 164.5 passing yards for an NFL quarterback today, and like I'm heavily considering it under, is really all I need to know. It's going to take a lot for, like, Sam Howell has to hand them the game, and Dak Prescott tried to hand them the game, and they still couldn't get it. Zach Wilson tried to hand them the game. He still couldn't take advantage. So I don't know what it would take for Tommy DeVito to win a football game at this point when you put him on the 20 in scoring position like 3 times since he's been a quarterback, and he still has like 2 total touchdowns. That's all I got to say. And I love Sam Howell, by the way. Unbelievable quarterback the last 5 weeks. And then to finish it up, like, if it's going to snow, and even if it doesn't, if it snows, I love Philly. If it doesn't, still like Philly. Like I'm going to go ahead and buy into the fact that they really give a shit. Like they care about this game. The Chiefs, come on, man. It's like, who has a lot more to lose? I don't care about Philly traveling over the last, like, especially dating back to last season. Perfectly fine team on the road, even though that's their only loss this year. Like the defense and the running game travel to the exact same extent as they, in terms of how good they are at home. So I'm perfectly fine with what should be a close game and getting the 8.5 for Philly in that 3-legger.
I'm not by any means an Eagles fan, like by any means, but I swear to God, I'm a Jalen Hurts fan. Many people have well documented Jalen Hurts and my family's relationship with Jalen Hurts. When that Super Bowl happened, your boy was in legitimate tears. I was crying because I didn't care about the Eagles losing. I cared about Jalen Hurts losing. I think that some regular season games just mean more to other people. And I think this is just going to mean more to that Eagles team than it is going to be to that Chiefs game. Desire to win is not going to make you win a game, but you sure as hell aren't going to get blown out. So I like getting on that high. And then best survivor pick, it's got to be the Commanders. If the Commanders can't beat Tommy DeVito, you deserve to lose your survivor pool. They deserve to be dismembered as a franchise. And PB touched on Miami off the bye week, getting HM back healthy. Love it. That's a good teaser there. What was that, a 6.5 point?
Yes, it's just 6 for all 3 of them.
Nice.
Yeah,
so
I like it. Yeah, the Raiders, I mean, good for them. Like, their locker room is probably in a different note the last 2 weeks, but I think just they're in for a rude awakening when they come to Miami. That's just what I think. Yeah,
that was the one thing I didn't say too, is like the coaching matchup with the talent that Mike McDaniels has versus, like, God love him, Antonio Pierce, awesome dude, he's about to see what a real coach can do, like, tactics wise, So if we're going round snake round robin, let me just close it out.
Go ahead.
And just say I'm also taking Puka Nacua. Can I say that? Puka. I like the round robin style too. That's pretty nice touch there.
You said it right.
So Puka, let me get him over 56.5 passing yards with Matty Stafford ruled in. Thank God. For the sake of football, thank God. Like, no one should have to watch Brett Rippon play quarterback again. No, all due respect and all that, whatever. But we're coming. I would also consider the 5.5 receptions. He really hasn't had his target share or his opportunity share eaten into by the arrival of Cooper Kupp. It's really them. Because also Tyler Higbee, huge disappointment. So those two guys are really getting the bulk of the targets, as we know. And if like Seattle is going to be another really zone heavy defense. Puka, another guy, going to find him in the slot, running right down the seam, catching balls right in the soft spots, like right after like 10 yards into 15 yards in that area. And then the run after the catch stuff you got to love as well. So I think the thing that I was looking at too was Devin Witherspoon, right? Who I've raved about a number of times because
love him,
incredible dude for a rook especially. I think he follows Cooper Kupp around a bit more. What was that, PB?
No, I said he's just everywhere. He'll sack someone. Yes. He's everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. So my hope here is that this is not something I can guarantee, but my game prediction in theory would be that he's following Kupp around a bit more when he's not really randomly blitzing, like you mentioned. Tyreek Woolen, like we've definitely praised him before, but right now he's allowing 11 yards in terms of his ADOT right now against him.
Yeah.
So for a guy like Puka to be getting a ball thrown to him 11 yards on the field, plus the like 5 to 6 yards of yak that he's going to usually get if he's already running full speed, I do think the 56, like the 5.5 receptions is high. And if you're going to take that, then like the 60 yards is pretty, I think it's pretty much going to follow suit with it. You get the plus money though for the over 5.5 receptions is really where that's juiced right now. So I'm going to go with the receiving yards, but do you guys have a lean either way on yards or receptions for him?
No, I think that's cool. It makes sense for against the Seahawks. The Seahawks defensively play kind of like keep everything in front. So if he can find those seams, those 7 to 10 yards behind that first level of the defense, he should be open. I think that's actually probably their biggest weakness, right? They have a lot of the guys who have the same similar mentality in football, that smash mouth, but not smash mouth in terms of hitting you hard, but smash mouth is where they want to keep you in front of them. That's why we see shootouts. That's why we see quarterbacks go over against them, not because they're not talented. It's just schematically. I think it's a little dated, I guess you want to say, a little dated with how great wide receivers are now. Like wide receivers were freaking like changing laundry on their off days. Now they're freaking animals that can run 4.4 and have the agility of like
we playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
No, I like the Puka play. I just think the line is pretty much depressed right now, just with the poor QB he's been playing, the poor QB play he's been playing with, and the Seahawks just coverage wise defensively, they're more so of a zone defense, and Puka has better splits when he's going up against zone as compared to man. You mentioned it too, but the Witherspoon, although is Tariq Woolen playing, because maybe he could be defending him. I'm not sure, but
that's what I'm saying. I think he is playing. He's actually given up. Like I was saying, his ADOT against him for Woolen has been pretty high, even though he's still obviously like a very well respected in that secondary. He's actually been not as good in the slots as well. That's kind of where I was coming from, but I don't know if that's going to be the matchup for sure. Like you were saying, Witherspoon plays everywhere. So
yeah. Also too with I lean the receptions just because Puka could be a lower ADOT type guy. And do we know, like, if Stafford is 100%? I know he has that thumb injury, but we've seen it in the past. Like, these injuries could be affecting his play style, throw ability. So maybe he just racks up the shorter type targets. But other than that, I mean, I think this is a good buy low spot on any of the Rams receivers.
Yeah, especially against Seattle. I don't think they're going to get much of a run against Henderson and what is it, Williams?
Tyron's not back
I mean
yet,
Freeman. Excuse me, Henderson and Freeman. Let me get to my pick. Before I say this, I want to say that I actually have more of an intention of getting the higher yards than the base. I have more of a desire to play the base. I mean, not to play the base, but for this podcast, I believe that the base is still adequate. I'm taking Quentin Johnson over 33.5 receiving yards. I actually have him at 60 ish yards for my bet, which is plus 280. I think you can find a plus 300 on FanDuel. No, on DraftKings. Plus 200. It's plus 280 on FanDuel. But
is it 60 plus or 50 plus, Brad? For
60 plus.
Okay.
60 plus. So when I bet on Quentin Johnson at the beginning of the year to get over 500 receiving yards, I didn't anticipate him being involved in the offense early. My projection was exactly what would happen. He'd have to grow into this offense, and then Mike Williams or Keenan Allen would get hurt. Mike Williams is out. Keenan Allen not practicing, might be out. That just leaves who? 3 people: Guyton, Johnson, Palmer. Well, Palmer didn't practice yesterday. I don't know if he practiced today. In those 3 weeks, since he started to grow into this offense, snap share of 70%, 83%, and 85%. 11.5 ADOT with 61% route participation. He has to catch the passes to make it count, but I know he's going to get his opportunities against this Green Bay Packers team, who secondary is not all that good. So he'll have his opportunities. He just has to catch it. I haven't been impressed of what he's been doing in terms of when balls are in his catch radius, not actually hauling them in. But to me, when anytime I'm taking someone who only needs to get 33 yards, or I'm taking them at a plus 200, plus 300, it's about opportunity. He'll have the opportunity. It's just up to him if he capitalizes on it.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. You got to target these rookie receivers later on in the season than early. I made that mistake a couple of times, and I like how you're doing like the milestone type thing. Because Quentin Johnston is that type of guy. He's a boomer bust type guy.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean the target share just has overall been climbing as you just said each week. So definitely makes sense. And if Josh Palmer doesn't end up suiting up, even better for your sake.
Yeah. I don't even care if Palmer does, because I agree with I love the sort of everything coming together at once for this awesome moment for a bet on Quentin Johnson. Like everything together. If Palmer plays, I mean, first of all, I think Johnson, like you said, he's kind of the Mikey Williams replacement. Like he's the guy coming in and running a bit more fly routes. Incredible athlete, as we know, and even dangerous because he's so big in the red zone. The idea that he gets like 3 receptions for 60 yards is very plausible, right? Mm-hmm. Really high ADOT for him. And it, like you said, just needs to haul him in. But because the usage keeps increasing, that also tells me that they trust him more and more, which is just adding to the point that you guys have made about waiting for the right spots to pick rookie wide receivers, the ones that aren't like already elite coming into the league, which is few and far between. But I love this spot for Johnson. I'm going to be very clear that I'm going to be tailing you on that one.
Yeah, and I will say this, like when I said him not catching it, I wasn't saying the guy can't catch. Like some of the, I think 3 of the last 4 passes that he dropped, or 2 of the last 4 passes that he dropped, were like, they were freaking hard catches, like contested catches. Like I'm not saying this guy's dropping wide open passes. So like I was probably a little harsh in the way I said it.
Nah, you're good.
I really like him for 60. Also, we'll go ahead and say this: Packers averaging 60.2 yards to the wide receiver 2. They're about 20th DVOA to wide receiver 2 here, which helps out a lot as well.
Yeah. I guess we'll pivot from my third player prop, but I want to definitely put this in the show. His props are not available yet, and it kind of goes in hand with the whole rookie wide receiver talk. Take a look at Marvin Mims.
You were going to say Marvin Mims.
Yeah, no, it's not out though, so I can't really suggest it.
I got you.
Take a look at Marvin Mims last week against I forget the team he played, but he ran a career high in routes.
Bills,
it was he was playing in the wind.
Yeah.
I keep seeing all this off-field stuff that we got to get Sean Payton. We got to get him the ball. We got to get him the ball. Vikings, they are pretty solid at stopping the run. So, I mean, this is the spot to do it. If you want to do some ladders, like this is the game I feel like to do it. But that's not my official play. Josh,
real quick, PB, did you see? Did you see real quick the video of
I did.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah, he like jumps on with the phone or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was like doing a selfie video with the dude, or selfie picture with the dude in the stands at the end of the game, and then another fan yells, "Well, you ain't had no catches or whatever." Yeah. He goes, "Russ won't throw me the ball anyway."
Yeah,
that was viral. That was awesome. All
right. So we're talking about overs and overs and overs. Let's talk about an under here. Let's go with Derrick Henry. Normally this is the type of guy that gets better and better as the season goes on. But I'm on his under, guys. Facing up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're on fire. The Jaguars, they've won 5 of their last 6 games, and they're back at home, and they are 7.5 favorites. And this is a whole game script play with Derrick Henry. We've seen how he performs in the offense and wins compared to losses. In losses, he averages 53.7 rush yard. Oh, before I get started, it's Derrick Henry under 55.5 rush yards. That's the play. In losses, he averages 53.7 rush yards. He's gone under this in 5 of the 7 games. But one of the games he went over it was against the Baltimore Ravens, and he had a 32-yard long rush. So I kind of feel like that kind of like affected the data a little bit. But if you take that out, he is consistently going under. The Jacksonville Jaguars, just in general, their rush defense is very slept on. As a unit, their defensive unit, 4th best in yards per carry and 5th best in DVOA versus the run. And I just like the splits here, wins and losses. It's tough for me to see a guy like Will Levis come in just with how great the Jaguars have been offensively and defensively. I think Tajay Spears could do some work in the running game and kind of like limit the ceiling for Derrick Henry, but you mix all those together, I like his chances of going under 55.5 rush yards against the Jaguars on the road.
Yep, I think it's a great spot for the Jags. You're going to get some. I'm going to start Tajay Spears on my fantasy team because I think they're going to be throwing the ball.
Yards. Yeah, receiving
yards. For Tajay to get some receiving yards. Yeah, exactly. So, I think all the game script completely adds up to what you're saying.
Yeah, it's funny too because like I feel like not a lot of people realize how much pressure Will Levis is getting. Like eventually when you're like getting sacked that much, you're just going to have these really, really, really bad game scripts, like really bad. Like they're due for a really bad one.
Look at the Jaguars though. They got Josh Allen, they got a lot of pressure. So they may need to have, Derrick Henry in for some plays to do some pass blocking.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's get to our touchdowns. I'm going to start with David Montgomery. Dude's healthy. Dude's a beast. 7-point favorite against the Bears. I think they're going to be able to move the ball well, especially with Amon-Ra stretching the field there, giving them shorter fields to work with. So I took him to score a touchdown. I believe it's 135 plus 135.
Sweet. We'll get this in and find the odds.
I'll get it in after the show. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Quick and simple for me. It's going to be Austin Eckler. He's got a touchdown 3 straight weeks. And he's going against the Green Bay Packers. He is pretty much the go-to guy in the end zone, other than Keenan Allen. I like him to score this week.
Yeah, I mean Austin Eckler is just such a crazy touchdown machine for somebody that size. I cannot think of someone who's that size who's as good at scoring touchdowns from wherever he is.
He can do it 2 ways, running or he can do it. So
any which way, yeah. So. I'm going to go to Achane. We all hinted about how much we love the Dolphins in part because he's back in there. I still get plus 105 for him. So hopefully we can lock that in when we place the bet in a little bit. Shout out Brad being an illegal state now with Florida.
Yes.
Getting a couple bucks in there.
Finally.
But yeah, for Achane, I don't think I need to talk about it. I just want to mention like he has 7 touchdowns in 3 games. 3 of them are from at least 20 yards. 2 of them are 40 yards. It doesn't matter where they are on the field. Dude's in the red zone. So Mike McDaniels loves this dude. Like it's so obvious that he like, and I'm a Raheem Mostert fantasy football owner as well. And I love my Raheem Mostert, but like McDaniels, and even I can admit when I see something, I'm like, geez, that dude's different. And that's just Achane. So let's ride the hot wave. I think McDaniels will get him in the end zone this game.
I will say though, do you have any worry though that Jeff Wilson kind of gets in the picture there, because before he was in the IR? So you think that,
I feel you. I would be more worried if I was making a Raheem Mostert bet. That's where I'm like, I think in pecking order with McDaniel, he clearly likes Achane. I do think he would prefer to have Jeff Wilson in if he was healthy, to be honest, over Raheem and then Raheem. But yeah, I'm actually not too worried about even like in the goal line. Achane in the 3 games he played had like 4 different red zone carries. So little dude, but another little Eckler type. So no, I think the +105 is a good number.
Yeah, I think you have to get him the ball. I think he's just too good, too explosive not to.
Yeah. For sure. Coming off the bye too, so he's had many time to get back.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, if anybody is watching the show, when you are watching, make sure you smash that like button. But please comment your favorite picks of the week. They don't have to be ours. PB, before I let everyone go, come on, tell people how to find you or anything that you want to pub.
Before I do, favorite spread pick, Bills -7, lock that in. This is the get right spot for them. But if you want to find the rest of my plays, I don't just do football. I also do basketball. Plus 27 units early on in the season. We're hoping the regression doesn't hit, but it's been a money maker for me. Please, if you want to join my Discord. Every single play that I post has a detailed 2-paragraph write-up. It's not just I'm giving out one play, no analysis behind it. So everything is very well thought out. And if you want to find me there, and if not, you could find me out in Action Network. I hop on every Monday. I do shows with the crew we build a SGP for the Island game. So I'm excited to keep doing it, and it's good to be back on. I think the last time I was on here was week 2, so it's been a while.
Man, thanks for joining us. Josh, plug what you want to plug, man. We never ask you. Plug your stuff.
Well, I start, once the NBA started, I started grinding out basketball as well, like every single day. Now we're going 7 days a week over on YouTube on Land Your Bets. So definitely check that out as well. Be having you guys on as soon as I can get some time from you as well. These 2 dudes have been super hot with NBA as well. Brad came out swinging, and he's not doing his usual like wild success stuff at the beginning here, but just wanted to shout you guys out too, man. Good season so far.
Yeah, man. These alt lines have been fun. I just feel like it's better. I'm better at milestones than I am at trying to figure out how many assists someone's
find your niche, Find
your spot, baby. Yeah. Love it.
I guess I'll plug something too. Anybody watch this, make sure you check out What's the Spread. That podcast needs a little bit more love. Miles Markowitz, follow him on sports. That's Miles on sports at Twitter. You guys know where to find me at Mr. Brad Thomas. For the boys here, thank you for tuning in. Remember to download, rate, subscribe, and like. Take care.